Time to wake up. It's Saturday morning. Find some milk and cereal. Grab a bowl and spoon. No, a bigger spoon. Head to the living room and take a seat on the floor while Joseph and Chris present to you Saturday Morning Cartoon!
Hello everybody, welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoon Boom. This is a show where we wake up the Saturday morning sun, pop down on the floor with the big bowl of sugary cereal, and try your favorite cartoons, both old and new. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
And this morning, we watched The Thing.
You were not enthusiastic whatsoever.
I was up until I got to the title,
Thing.
and I was like, oh yeah, that's what we watched.
Yeah.
Okay.
And was this the John Carpenter thing you were hoping for?
It absolutely was not.
Was it anywhere close to it?
It was horrifying in its own way.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, but I don't mean that in a good way. So, who was this suggested by?
This was suggested by Frank Dwayne Miller. So, I mean, I want to say thanks.
Yeah.
But like, no thanks.
And I want to say I'm glad I saw this, but I'm really not. I don't think it's something that you need to see and just get it out of the way. I think you can avoid this your whole life and be perfectly fine.
Right.
And maybe even have a better life because of it. So
yeah.
if you love this show, Frank Dwayne Miller, then I'm sorry. But if you did this to, make fun of us for showing us a crappy show, then kudos, because you succeeded.
You did a good job of trolling us. Yeah, that's what it was about.
You trolled us hard with The Thing.
I know there are other listeners that purposely pick bad cartoons for us. So
yeah,
who knows?
But this is among the worst, I think, that we have seen. Maybe up there down there with Slimer and the Real Ghostbusters.
Oh, geez, yeah. Oh, I can't wait to talk about this one.
So the show The Thing, also known as Fred and Barney Meet the Thing, which never actually happens. But so the detail behind that is this was a Hanna-Barbera cartoon that was partnered, or whatever you call it, mixed in with the new Fred and Barney show that was like a spinoff of the Flintstones, obviously. The first segment was Fred and Barney show, and then it was The Thing show. And the only time that you see Fred and Barney actually meet the Thing is in the intro and sometimes in the interludes in between episodes. So That's about it. That's the detail behind that. But it has absolutely nothing to do with them being connected or him going to Bedrock or anything, which actually probably would have been a lot more entertaining. But that's not what we got. This one aired in 1979 only. It was created and produced by Hanna-Barbera and Marvel and the Marvel Comics Group. Ran for one season, 13 episodes, which were short episodes. Well, they were short segments, so it's 26 total segments, 13 episodes overall. And this ran on NBC. And for a short synopsis, this is a very loose adaptation of Marvel Comics characters The Thing, following the adventures of a scrawny redheaded teenager named Benjy Grimm, who changes into the monstrous and mighty Thing.
Oh man, like saying it's a loose adaptation is very generous.
Well, I'll get into it in a second in the marshmallows, but are you aware of what his origin story is supposed to be?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I'll save that for a second. So who are some of the actors who played in this show?
So the voices of Benjy Grimm and the character of Stretch were provided by Wayne Morton. The voice of The Thing was provided by Joe Baker. The voice of Kelly was provided by Noelle North, who has been in shows such as Gem, The Smurfs, Dino Riders, and The Legend of Prince Valiant. The character of Betty was voiced by Marilyn Schreffler, who voiced Olive Oil in several Popeye who voiced Olive Oil in several Popeye cartoons from the 70s and 80s, and Brenda Chance in multiple Hanna-Barbera shows like Laugh Olympics and Captain Caveman. The voice of Ronald Radford. Oh my God, that name. Radford! Ronald Radford! Voiced by John Irwin, who voiced Reggie from the Archie cartoon series and lots of other spin-offs from there. And he was also the voice of He-Man, Beastman, and Prince Adam in He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. The character of Spike was voiced by Art Metrano, who played Uncle Rico from Joni Loves Chachi, and Lieutenant Mauser in Police Academy 2 and 3. And finally, the last character I have here, Turkey, Yep. Name's Turkey. Voiced by Michael Sheehan, who's also the voice of Bam Bam from the Flintstones comedy show and the voice of Rio from Gem.
Huh.
The character of Ronald Radford, voiced by the same guy that voices Reggie from the Archie shows. I'm going to have something to say about that in a little bit, but I want to let's get into the meat of it so then I can start eating at that meat.
Well, so for a few, they're not tasty. So for a few marshmallows out of this big bowl of Thing cereal. So
Gross.
yeah, the Yancey Street Gang is actually from the comics is where it originated. I think in the 60s when it was primarily around, and it is from the Fantastic Four comics. It was a circle of like roughneck friends who called themselves a gang, but basically what they did was encourage a neighborhood youth to like heckle the Thing and like throw stuff at him. So that was their job, was to heckle and like make fun of the Thing.
Oh, man.
I guess it kind of carried over into the show a little bit.
Yeah, kind of, except they didn't really have much to do with the Thing at all.
No.
It was like they were messing with the teenagers instead.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyway, the Thing rings are 2 rings. And this is the picture that I sent you earlier. And I didn't even know this, that they had paid and like homage to it in the comics. So
yeah.
The Thing rings are worn by Darla Deering and in the FF comics, which are the newer comics. I think they started in like 2012 or something. I don't know if they're still going on.
No, they're at least that run of it is over. It ended with the newest Secret Wars and all that good stuff.
Okay. So they were created by Dragon Man and given to Darla as an easy way to transform into the Thing exoskeleton. And at least the one time in the picture I sent you, she did the thing that he does in the show where she says, "Thing rings, do your thing." And I thought that was a cool little nod to it. Even though like I didn't like the show, I appreciate nods to the past.
Yeah, she's an interesting character. So they call her Miss Thing in the comics. At least I think it was Miss Thing.
Yeah.
And it's weird because her whole body looks like the Thing, but her head stays, just her normal woman head with pink hair.
Because her head
it looks really dumb.
Her head has like a bubble around it, but it's supposedly like Invisible Woman's like little shield around it or something.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
Like I think I like her as a character. The idea of what they did with her is dumb as rocks. Get it? Get it?
Get it. And I think we're going to use a lot of rock puns today. Let me tell you the origin of this, and this might make you hate it less, or it might make you hate it more. I don't know. We'll see. So
let's hope for both.
The Thing was originally in the show a middle-aged test pilot, so kind of like in the comics. And he turns into a teenager again when an attempt to turn him human backfired or misfired because like Kelly's dad, I guess, is the scientist who tried to turn him into a human, and it did, but it also devolved him back to his teenage years. But for some reason, it also took away his Brooklyn accent in his youth, which comes back every time he turns into the Thing.
I gotta say, it makes me hate it more.
Yeah.
It just makes it creepier because now this grown man is like hanging out with teenage girls and like, he's kind of fawning after the one.
Oh, Betty.
Yeah. And oh God, I didn't think they could make it worse, and they did.
Oh no, it's going to keep getting worse. So yeah, I had just read that because I was curious. I was like, what is supposed to be the origin of this? Because we don't see a lot in the intro. We see maybe him in a tube thing in a science lab, and it's like you don't see the rings or how they came about. I don't get any of it. It was really just all mashed together. But supposedly there's an episode that actually tells the origin, but I didn't care enough to watch that episode.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
They're just like, hey, guess what? He's also a perv.
Yeah.
He's trying to get with these teenage girls.
And something funny is, so the Thing, like I said, it was Fred and Barney Meet the Thing was the name of the complete show. But eventually, towards the end of the season, they changed it to Fred and Barney Meet the Smoo.
Yeah.
Because there was this other show that jumped in called The New Smoo, and it was the New Smoo. and it was some character from Little Abner or something, Little Abner comics. And so the thing got kicked off the title card of the episodes because people were hating it so much.
I don't blame them at all.
Yeah.
If they were hating it back then, you know, when these kind of shows were popular, like, you know, this was bad.
Yeah. And I don't mean to talk crap about it. Like, I'm not talking crap about Hanna-Barbera. I love a lot of Hanna-Barbera stuff, but this show, some stuff slipped between the cracks, and this was one of them. Yeah. So do you have any memories of it? Like, did you ever know this was a show?
I didn't know it was a show until we first started this podcast, because I started doing some research on cartoons and I saw this listed and hoped that someone would suggest it one day. And now I feel like I jinxed myself and you.
Yeah, you jinxed me too. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Ugh. I knew there were some Fantastic Four cartoons, and I had seen like some of the older ones and the newer one that came out in the 90s, but I did not know that the Thing had his own. And I wish I still knew that.
Yeah, he shouldn't have had his own.
No, because it wasn't his own. That's the thing. Like,
no, that's true.
Let's just start talking about it because
okay.
Yeah, it's killing me. So let's go ahead and jump into the episodes we watched for today's show. The very first episode, highest rated episode, and finally a random listener chosen episode. Order may vary depending on how these episodes fall chronologically, but of course we have to start with the very first episode, being The Picnic Panic, Season 1, Episode 1A. Now, you know, start right off the bat how serious this show is going to be when the first episode is called The Picnic Panic.
Yes. And man, was it panicky. I mean, I had a panic attack because this was so bad.
Like that. Let me tell you, this was the longest 11 minutes that I can ever remember having watching a show. I kept looking at the time, and like a minute had passed, and I'm like, no, why is it not over yet? How is it still going?
Yeah, I kept doing that thing where, you know, when your friend shows you a video that you really don't want to watch, and then you go and you hover over the bottom just to see how much time is left on it.
Yeah, no, totally.
And like, I did that like 5 times.
Yeah.
This whole show was a cheap, just garbage attempt at competing with Archie. Because like they literally took the archetype of Archie and just threw other characters into it. They even named one of the characters Betty. Like, they're not even trying to hide it.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, let's take one of our guys, the Thing. That'll be funny. Let's make him a teenager. Let's, instead of Ben, it needs to sound more like Archie, so we'll call him Benjy. And then they're like, we need a blonde girl and a black-haired girl. So they have a black-haired girl, and they're like, we can't name it Veronica. Let's use the blonde one just for fun. Let's call her Betty. And then you get the blonde named Kelly, whatever, fine. And then then they're like, we need in Archie, they had the rich friend that was kind of a jerk. Reggie, yeah, that guy. Let's make the same guy, but call him Ronald. And then they recruited the same guy that voices Reggie to voice Ronald.
They might as well have called him Ronnie. Like, why even call him Ronald?
Yeah, it sounds like an old man. Of course, like, Benjy is the old man hiding in a teenage body.
Well, that's true. Which makes it a little more creepy, I guess. But
yeah, it really does. And it's funny to me too that this cartoon's giving me a stutter. It's funny to me too that anytime something happens, Benji's like, I gotta go over here for a second, and then he leaves, and then the Thing immediately shows up, and no one is surprised. But they still, even though they're not surprised, they haven't figured out that Benjy and the Thing are the same person.
They do
what?
They do
what is this?
They reference it at one point, and they just say, "Oh, you're never around when trouble starts."
It's like, good thing the Thing's here.
Yeah. And he doesn't even like go off far to hide himself. He like walks around a tree, not even behind it, just walks near a tree and does his thing. And it looks like there's a huge light show and explosion. Seems like someone would notice.
And rocks come flying out of everywhere.
Out of the air.
Like he doesn't like turn into anything. Rocks cover his body, because you even see when the light fades that it's still piecing it together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then like, why does being covered in rocks give him a Brooklyn accent?
I don't know.
Did they go in his throat? What did we watch?
It's not even worth really describing this episode. It's like the way it says it is a motorcycle gang causes trouble at a high school picnic and the thing must save the day. Why does the thing have to save the day? Why does he have high school problems now? Why is he going back to school? If he's a middle-aged man that was just reverted back to a teenager, that doesn't mean he has to go back to school unless his mind was reverted back to a teenager too. But I don't think that's the case. Yeah,
instead of spending time trying to find the cure, he's like, I guess I'll enroll back in high school again.
You know what was a great time in my life? High school.
Oh, and they make him like a nerd that's constantly getting picked on.
Yeah.
And
seems like he would have a lot of regret.
Yeah. And you got this motorcycle gang that's just some of the worst character designs ever. Like when they're on their motorcycles, they're so disproportionate.
Oh, did you see when they first drove up, the layers were wrong? So it made the leader, like he was supposed to be like way in front and because he was like huge compared to the other ones. But
his hands were gigantic.
Well, because his bike was clipping behind the leg of one of the other ones because the layers were off.
Oh, no.
And so it made him look like he was gigantic, like he could eat the others. That was the first thing I noticed when they drove up. So
I'm not even surprised.
What are the biker? I mean, it's the Yancey Street Gang is the biker names in this, but what were their names? I know Turkey was one, Stretch was one.
Yeah, the main guy was Spike. Stretch was the one that always wore sunglasses, and Turkey was the fat one with his motorcycle. You know, the little chin strap went under his nose instead.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Everything about this was bad. Like the animation was bad. Like you just said, so they got the layers wrong, the proportions are wrong. The thing looks awful, and there's certain times that the shades of his body change color, where like his torso will be lighter than his head and his arms. Some characters' eyes go the wrong way, just in random scenes, and it happens to everybody. Like one eye will point to the right, the other will point to the left. Just, you know, like a freaking walleye or something. It's just so funny. And then there's another one. Oh, this is the big one. Benji's face design changes constantly. So depending on what the quote unquote camera angle is supposed to be. So if it's zoomed in on him, he looks one way. If it's zoomed out at a distance, he looks different. And when he's sitting still and not animated, his head points down and he's got the derpiest look on his face. It's like his resting face is just derp. It's like he's trying to tuck his chin into his chest and his nose is pointing the wrong way or something. It's I don't understand.
Well, it's just very clear that even the animators did not care about this show.
Oh no, like they weren't even getting paid. Look at this thing. No one got paid for this. I mean,
it's just all the old archetypes of other shows that have already been done in worse, like it's doing those, but in much worse ways, and trying to tie a superhero, the Thing, into them for no reason. Like there's never a reason to have him, because it's not like there's supervillains or anybody with powers. It's just these.
There isn't.
It's just these punk kids, the Yancey Street Gang, who are just trying to they're not even trying to steal anything or whatever. They're just trying to give people a bad time at like picnics. Like they're just trying to ruin people's picnics. It's like, geez,
exactly.
This is the tamest. Slimer faced bigger problems than this. He faced a dentist at one point. Like, come on, that's a huge problem compared to
dentists are way scarier than these guys.
Exactly.
So. They even I think the voice cast even messed up a few times, and they didn't even either didn't notice or didn't care. So the big one is that not Reggie. I'm already going there. Benji gets blamed for a pie landing on the principal's head. Mm-hmm. And then she gets mad and she says, "I'll see me in your office tomorrow, young man."
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
I remember. I heard that.
She will see herself in his office. What?
Yeah.
What does that even mean? Him being the student, he has the office instead of the principal. What?
I don't know. I don't understand. And that was the dumbest excuse to. Okay, so what happens is the Yancey Street Gang, they interrupt a baseball game and Spike hits like a home run, but it goes and it hits the principal's pie and that's what knocks it in her face. And then she gets mad and like the Yancey Street people, like they're in high school still too, I guess, because they see the principal. They're like, uh-oh, we better get out of here. Well, here, like they give the baseball bat to Benjy and to make him like take the blame. And then she gets upset with them because, you know, he intentionally hit this ball into her pie. Like
she's just like, I know you've got crazy accuracy. So
I should have known. Yeah.
To be fair, something like that did happen to me as a teenager. Okay, so this is why. So we were playing baseball on this baseball field, and the parking lot is right next to it, which is really bad planning on their part. And the PE coach, he lived in a bus, like one of those big buses, like a travel bus. That was his home. He lived in it. And so I hit a foul ball, and it went over the fence, and it kind of hit his bumper a little bit. You know, I don't know if it left a dent, and he's just like, oh, it's all right. And he's just, you know, he was kind of an idiot, and he kept calling me Kanoki, and we don't know why, because that's not my name. It's all right, Kanoki. You hit the next one out over the field. And so they throw another ball, and I hit it again, and it hits his windshield and breaks it.
Oh, man.
And I got yelled at quite a bit. So,
well, that's his home, dude. You broke his home.
I demolished his home with a foul ball. And it's not like I tried. I'm just horrible at sports. So I'm sorry, Coach Brockhouse. You know, you can send all your hate mail to Kanoki, wherever he is.
Kanoki's going to be pretty upset that we threw him under the bus like that.
Exactly.
How does this one end? I don't even know.
So they have an impromptu motorcycle race because the Turkey's motorcycle has problems. The brakes don't work well, and it accelerates.
The accelerator sticks. Yeah.
Yes. So they challenge Ronald to it, and then they do the race, and there's kind of obstacles in Ronald's way because he's scared. So the thing moves like a tree, and he moves a house, and he moves other stuff. And for some reason, even though this was an impromptu, like, let's just do this if you think you're cool race, at the end, there's a finish line and all these people waiting and cheering. And I'm like, where did they come from? How did they know? Was this pre-planned? Like,
and I think Ronald had his eyes closed the whole time. So he didn't even know the thing was helping him by literally changing the landscape all around him. Like, he wrecked a trail through that entire park. Oh.
It was not good.
And then Spike gets upset that the other guy won. For some reason, his idea was, I'm going to hang back in a bush for a while, then I'm going to come to the finish line. Why not just go straight to the finish line, and you could have won and not had this problem?
There's a lot of hiding behind things because Kelly found out what their plan was by hiding behind a tree.
Oh, yeah.
Even though, like, the two groups were literally standing 10 feet from each other. And I'm pretty sure they even showed her in with her other group as the camera panned over to them, and then she was behind that tree. Like, she's a magician. That I didn't know if you knew that.
It's probably the same tree that Benjy transformed behind too.
Exactly. So the tree is the real hero. It's got superpowers of its own.
The real story behind the tree is that's probably the only background they had, and so they just reused it as much as possible.
Right. This like, does anyone know how to draw a tree? No. All right. We'll just keep using the one.
Yeah.
It was good.
So that's the first episode.
It was a great episode. Yeah.
And I didn't know the whole time that Ronald was their friend. Like, Ronald's supposed to be like Benji's friend and everything. I thought he was the villain at first, or the antagonist.
Well, yeah. He's Reggie. He's exactly Reggie, because Reggie and Archie, the Archie show, is a huge, but they still hang out with him every time, even though he's pretty much the bad guy. And I don't get it, but they took that exact same dynamic and used it here without changing a thing. I mean, even the same voice actor. I mean, come on. There's no excuses.
Well, the next episode we watched for today's show was Bigfoot Meets the Thing, Season 1, Episode 1, Part B. So this is just the second part of the first episode because it sounded hilarious. It wasn't, but it sounded like it would be.
real quick too, like we picked the next 2 episodes because there is no highest rated episode. Like none of these episodes are rated. Like no one, they're all at 0.
Oh.
So,
well,
yeah.
no, I still feel like they're rated. Like someone took the time to put 0 there.
Say this is garbage.
Yeah.
We just kind of chose a few and we're like, let's just do this thing. And thinking that some of these would be interesting, but
yeah. So it starts out with the Thing talking to Kelly because she's the only person who knows who the Thing is, like his secret identity or whatever. And he's just like, sometimes I feel discouraged. Who'd want to look at an orange thing like this?
I'm like, well, don't turn into it.
Stop transforming. That's the whole reason you wanted to get turned back human, and you are human. You're literally not an orange organism anymore. You just have rocks around you and a Brooklyn accent.
Right. It's like putting on like a crappy shirt and just sitting there moping about it.
Yeah,
oh, man,
nobody likes my shirt.
No one's going to like this shirt. Well, then don't wear the shirt.
Yeah, put on a different shirt.
Stupid.
So, yeah. Okay. So that's how it starts. That goes nowhere. That's a complete like mislead because the episode has nothing to do with that. They decide to go skiing for the weekend. They go in a car. They're in a it's like summertime where they are. It looks like it's green all around.
Yeah, it's very summertime.
And then they get in a car, not to go to the airport or anything, just to drive to this, I don't know, this really snowy mountain place that can't be too far from where they were.
Yeah, well, I got to give that a little bit of slack just because like I used to live in a place where, I mean, that was kind of possible. It wouldn't have been summertime, but like when I lived in Las Vegas, I mean, it could be kind of warm in the city, but if you drive to like Mount Charleston, there might be snow up there. It's weird. It's only like in select places in the country will you see that.
All right. Well, then I'll give him a pass on that.
This doesn't seem like the place, but hey.
We'll give him that. That's okay. So Spike and Turkey and Stretch I think they are all there too. They just end up there because they're everywhere that the other kids are.
Well, they were making fun of them because they pulled up next to them at a stoplight and then decided to follow them wherever they went because they wanted to mess with them. Mm-hmm. Because they said where they were going. They're like, oh, ain't you afraid of Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Laughing about it. And Ronald's like, I don't believe in Bigfoot. And drives away. And they're like, well, we'll show him for not believing in Bigfoot.
Yeah. So Spike like gets a box and then his cohorts are just like, what's in the box? What's in the box?
What's in the box?
And it turns out
your head.
It's a Bigfoot outfit, of course.
Yeah. Who saw that coming?
Right. And so he dresses Stretch up like a gray Bigfoot and sends him over to Ronald's cabin to scare everybody.
Yes, which he does and then leaves and no one believes Ronald. But then they do it again the next day while they're out like getting ready to ski. They have him come up and scare him again. And they all have a big bunch of laughs. Because they find out it's Stretch and they're all like, ooh, we're mad at you. And the bikers are laughing. But then like there's a real Bigfoot nearby. And of course, because this is a trope that always happens, this male real Bigfoot thinks that this costume is a female Bigfoot and falls in love.
Yeah. But because, we do see Bigfoot a little bit before that too. Alone, where he's just like, Bigfoot so lonely. He speaks English too.
Yeah. Who would have thought he could speak English? Even though he can say English, but most of the time he's just like in the background going, ew. I don't even know how to describe it other than make the noise. It's just, I don't know, man.
So we
saw something gross.
The episode is just him basically chasing after Stretch for the majority of it. And then the Thing, of course, has to come into it because it's his show, unfortunately. And his job is to just protect everyone from Bigfoot. And he keeps calling himself a living legend.
He says it like 3 or 4 times. He's like, oh, time for the living legend. He doesn't even pronounce the D. It's like living legend.
Living legend. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that dumb.
It ain't easy being the living legend.
Yeah, it's definitely one thing he says.
So at one point when Ronald's like sliding down a hill or something and about to fall off a cliff, Thing picks up a giant boulder and throws it at him. And like when we were watching it, I was just like, oh my God, he's going to kill Ronald. Like, what is he doing?
It would have made the show way better, like way more interesting.
I never liked that guy after all.
The Thing goes on the run from the police.
Yeah,
that'd be
Thing
great.
on the run from the law. That's why he goes back to Bedrock, because he needs to get away.
That would be so much more fun.
It would have been hilarious, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So he throws the rock and it hits a tree in just the right way to where it falls over, makes a bridge for Ronald to roll down or roll over so he doesn't fall off the cliff, and everything's fine.
Well, but it's not fine because the Bigfoot is really sad when he sees Stretch come out of that costume and run away. And so they're like, oh, he's alone in the world. And they're like, quick, let's trick him again so he can be heartbroken a second time.
Yeah.
So then they take the suit and they fill it with snow, put it on skis, and they push it down the hill so the Bigfoot chases after it. And then one of the girls was like, you think he'll like a Bigfoot doll stuffed with snow? And the Thing, sure, he'll think it's real cool. The poor Bigfoot's just going to find it and realize he's been tricked again. Like, he's going to write them in his suicide letter later. He's going to write about them.
Or he's going to go on a rampage and just take out them and their families.
Yeah. I mean,
with any luck.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, before we watched this, I sent you which episodes we were doing, and you're like, oh, Bigfoot meets the Thing. That's awesome. Nope. No, they missed an opportunity. I would love to have seen the Thing fight a Bigfoot, and that is not what happens.
Yeah, it's like there are some things that are really hard to mess up, but they managed.
Yeah, it should be just the Thing trolls Bigfoot's love life is what they could have called this episode.
Crushes Bigfoot's spirit.
Seriously.
I really felt for Bigfoot in this episode. Like, I want to see his spin-off cartoon that does not involve any of these characters.
But you'd have to, if you want to go that route, then you have to mix it with another established show, like Bigfoot meets the Jetsons or something like that. But they never actually
would never actually meet. They would just be in the intro together, where Bigfoot would be flying in space, or he'd be running on that treadmill that they run on.
Exactly. You just call it that, Bigfoot meets the Jetsons, but they'll never interact.
Nope. Unfortunately, that'll probably never happen because life's not fair sometimes.
I know.
The last episode we watched, thankfully for today's show, is The Thing and the Treasure Hunt. It's literally, it's not just called The Treasure Hunt. It's literally called The Thing and the Treasure Hunt. Like, you would forget.
Hang on. You're actually wrong. Because if you look at the title slide of the cartoon, the image, it says The Thing in the Thing and the Treasure Hunt.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So they want you to know that the episode about the Thing and the Treasure Hunt stars the Thing. So the Thing is in the Thing and the Treasure Hunt.
It'd be better if it was The Thing in the Thing and the Treasure Hunt featuring the Thing.
Yeah. Or what if they're talking about there's a thing inside of the Thing as he goes on the treasure hunt? What's this thing in me?
Here's a question I have, and maybe it's because I wasn't paying close enough attention, and this is going to sound weird, but how does he get his rocks off? Like, how does he how does he revert back to Benjy?
They don't show either of those. Like, either way you want to take that, they don't show it.
Oh,
yeah. I think he just walks behind a tree, and then they and then you just hear the noise that it makes, and then he comes out all clean again.
Okay.
But I don't think they actually show him get his rocks off, as you will.
Yeah.
But once he goes behind that tree, he's always hiding behind something. What if he's doing both? I mean, who's to say?
Maybe he has to get his rocks off to get his rocks off.
To get his rocks off.
Yeah.
I like this idea. Okay, now I like the show better.
Yeah, only because of that. Yeah.
It's a little bit better. Yeah.
Not a lot. Barely better.
At the beginning of this one, they're on a boat, and they, I think Ronald tells Benjy to start the engine, which he does. But then for some reason, the engine and the frame of the boat with Benjy go flying one way, while the rest of the boat, like the insides, and then Ronald and the two girls just stay in place.
And continue floating.
And then get attacked by an octopus.
Oh, yeah. Just randomly get attacked by a cartoon octopus. And then the thing goes underwater and beats up that octopus.
But does he really beat it up? Because he walks up, and he does punch it twice, but it's literally like boop, boop. Like that's the sound effect. It's just the wimpiest little thump you've ever heard. Ronald's like yelling at Benjy. He's like, "You ruined Dad-Ass dinghy." What are they doing with this cartoon exactly? I don't understand.
It turns out, and you might be surprised by this, that the enemies of this episode are the Yancey Street Gang once more.
What?
I know. So original.
Whoa.
This is 8 episodes in. No,
That's
technically
crazy.
this is 16 episodes in because they're shorts. So that means for at least 16 episodes, this gang has been pestering them. Why?
They're real bored, man. They just and they don't have any other friends, and I think they're hoping that it's like even if it's giving them negative attention, that they'll eventually like them. But I've learned that doesn't work all the time. So
I guess not. I mean, I don't. So what is their thing this episode? So after he beats up the octopus,
they find a treasure map, and they're just like, "Oh, we got to find the treasure." And then as they're talking about it, the Yancey gang. That's the worst, least intimidating. You can't have a gang with the name Yancey in it. Come on. But it's like the gang overhears it, and they're like, "Oh, we got to find the treasure before them." So they're just like they're trying to sabotage them along the way and trying to beat them to the treasure by just doing stupid things. I don't remember exactly all what happens except that an eagle attacks Stretch at one point.
Yeah, well, because one of the clues, I guess, is on top of the eagle's nest. I don't even know if it's a clue. It just tells them to go up there. And
and that's weird too, because it's like they have a map that shows where everything is. And they're like, "Oh, we have to get the clue up here." But it isn't a clue. There's no clue up there. The clue is literally like, "Oh, I see the tree that's also drawn on this map."
Yeah.
Why don't you just head straight to if you can see everything, if the map's there, just follow the end of the map.
Yeah, just
instead of stopping
right
at
to
each
the end
point.
of it. You don't have to go. They had to climb a 500-foot mountain just to see this eagle and be like, "Hey," and then go down it and keep going.
I like the idea they just walk up, see the seagull, and they're like, "Hey," and then make their way.
"Hey, how's it going?"
"Hey, bro."
This is where this is where it kind of gets creepy, because so knowing that Benjy is really a middle-aged man reverted back to a boy, he is still caught by Betty's feminine wiles when she asked him to climb that mountain. Like, "Do it for me, Benjy Wingy." It's like, geez, like this is just a high school. This is a teenager, dude. You're like 30 something. I don't know.
He's like, "Oh boy, I'm going to get my rocks off without being covered in rocks."
Yeah. Finally.
Yeah, it's disturbing if you think about it, honestly. Like shenanigans happen. The gang eventually gets to the treasure before all of them. And it's in this mine that is being demolished, and like they blow the mine, get buried in rocks. So the thing changes to save them and does what anyone would do, which is rolls a boulder with a tree and uses it as a freaking fulcrum and lifts the entire like mountain in the air.
Not even like impressively lifts it with like great graphics or anything or great animation. It's just you see the frame of the mountain, and then you just see the mountain like whoop, it just like slides up in the air.
And then it just goes up in the air, and like I guess it's hollow. I mean, there's no. I don't know. Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense because they just come out the bottom.
Yeah, because the what is it? The entrance comes up too, and you can see right through the entrance everything behind it. So they didn't even try. And it's like that, like the way that he does it, it's like if he had maybe lifted it or something, I'd have been like, all right, fine, whatever. But the fact that he tried to use a tree like that tree would break before any of that lifting started.
He found the strongest tree. Like the real hero is the tree.
Is this tree adamantium? That's the only way.
That tree lifted an entire mountain. It doesn't make any sense.
No, there's no way that they did what I just thought they did. I rewound it, and they did exactly what I thought they did. And
that's what I had to do for when that principal said that line that was completely wrong.
Yeah.
Like I had to rewind it like 3 times. I'm like, there's no way I heard that right. And
I'll
I'm like,
see
okay.
you, or what did she say? I'll see
me in your office tomorrow. I was like, okay, I guess that is what happened. But like, as if that's not bad enough. So then like they take the treasure with them on their motorcycles to the bank. Literally, they are in the office, or no, they go into the bank and they have, out of this entire treasure, they take one $1,000 bill. You know, why they just were like, we'll just get one. I don't know why. And then they're like, we want 5s and 1s, which is, I mean, that's kind of funny. But then in typical bank fashion, an alarm goes off that says fake money or stolen.
Well, because
alarm goes off says stolen, and a cage drops on them.
Because she puts it in the money detector.
The money detector, that's right. Like, which, I mean, there is things that help detect fake $100 bills, but this detected that it was stolen. And there's a cage rigged to the top of the bank, I guess, in precisely the right place.
Of course. So
that it dropped around them. So then they're talking with the owner of the bank in his office, and they're on their motorcycles for some reason. And Benjy and his group are there too, because he's like, your friends here vouched for you that you know, you found it and you weren't the ones that stole it. And they're like, oh, they're friends. And then they're like, here's your reward and for giving us this stolen money. And it's like, you get to go on this ship that they were on earlier in the episode and made them sick. And they're like, we're out of here, and just drive their motorcycles through the wall of the bank. And I'm like,
and then everybody,
well, now the bank's going to come after him with a cage again.
And why they drove through the walls, and everyone's just like, ha ha ha, ha, like they're just laughing about it. No one's just like, get them.
It did the obligatory everyone laughing at the end of this stupid episode.
Would you say this was the worst episode?
I don't know that there can be one, because they're all the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, all of them had something terrible.
That's a really good way to put it.
At least like this one had some laughs because of the whole mountain and tree thing.
Yeah, true. No, this one was bad in a funny way, kind of. The octopus punch also was pretty good. And
the octopus like slowly floats over, almost unconscious.
Yeah, he's like, ugh.
It's like when you kill one of those things like underwater in Mario, like those urchin things.
Oh.
In Super Mario World for Super Nintendo, and it just slowly floats away.
Oh, poor octopus.
Yeah.
So I feel for the octopus. I feel for Bigfoot. It's the wildlife in this show that, like, that was the best part of it.
I think the Thing is the bad guy of the show.
He's the villain. Like, he tore down, like, who knows how much of that, like, park he tore down just trying to give Ronald a clear path. Why didn't he just go and pick up the motorcycle, be like, all right, it's done. Instead, he tore down trees. He moved, like, benches and stuff. Like, this is public property that he is just demolishing.
Yeah. He's a horrible person.
He's a true villain.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, looks like it's about time we break out our inner kid rings and instruct them to do their thing so those little monsters can tell us what they thought of The Thing.
You know, most of the show is kind of dumb, but it's so old, I gotta cut it a little slack, I guess. I mean, Archie was really... Wait. What? This wasn't Archie? But he had the blonde girl and the black-haired snobby girl and the rich guy, and the main character had the red hair. Wait, this is supposed to be The Thing from the comics? But it wasn't anything like the comics. It was this stupid teenager hanging out with his stupid friends, and they were too stupid to notice that every time he walked up, the thing showed up to save the day and didn't figure out that it's the same guy, and why are they never surprised to see him? He's like a Rocky stalker, man. And why does his voice and personality change when he's just covered in rocks? It's not like he changed his form and... Ah! I gave it 1 bowl of Living Legend cereal out of 5. Now leave me alone.
I mean, what can I even say about this one? My main takeaway from it is that companies were trying to ruin the Fantastic Four long before Fox got a hold of it. Like in the 1978 Fantastic Four cartoon where they replaced the Human Torch with a dumb robot named Herbie because they were afraid kids would try to light themselves on fire.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. Time out, little Joe. That's just an urban legend. The real reason being that the rights to use the Human Torch were tied up in an effort to make a live-action movie using that character, which ended up never being produced.
Okay, but that sounds boring. Almost as boring as the Thing cartoon we just watched. Should I start associating you with that level of boring?
Fine, we'll go with the burning kids thing. Time in.
That's what I thought. Anyway, it's okay for cartoons to try new things as long as they're good and respectful to the source material, but this show was neither. Overall, I'd give the Thing 1 big bowl of Octopus Punch cereal out of 5 and would recommend you stay away from this thing. Honestly, I think you would have been better off had they sent him back to the Stone Age with the Flintstones. Then maybe they could have fed him to one of those rock-crushing dinosaurs that Fred works with and we all would have been better off.
Oh, man. Yeah, I would love... because of this episode, I hope that the Thing meets, I don't know, like an archaeologist that just chips away at him little by little, just slowly tearing him apart. But with that said, do you have any closing comments on this?
I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is probably the worst show we've watched yet. I haven't rewatched Slimer and the Real Ghostbusters, so my memory's fading of that. So I think it was as bad, if not worse than that. But I just know this is the worst one I've seen in a while. I was really hopeful because, and you do cut a lot of slack for older cartoons, especially from the 70s when it was kind of a new thing and they were experimenting a lot. But this experiment just went way wrong. And why they took it in such a wild direction is beyond me. There was already like a Fantastic Four cartoon in 78 the year before. So why not just have the whole group there? Why have them break off? Why make him a teenager? Why? I don't know. There's so many questions that I have and no answers. It doesn't make sense that they made this. I do not recommend anyone watch this unless you really just have to know how bad it is, and just don't say we didn't warn you. Yeah,
this was a poor attempt to get fans of Archie to watch their show. Like, plain and simple, like I don't know what Hanna-Barbera was thinking. They took a Marvel character and dropped him into this terrible knockoff of Archie. I just plopped him in this world, and they didn't even try to hide it. I mean, like we said, they named one of the girls Betty. All the characters were really similar to the Archie archetypes, and this whole cartoon was just a lazy pile of garbage. The animation was terrible. The audio had mistakes, and it made me lose brain cells. I am down 37 brain cells, Joseph. 37. I needed those 37. But the reason I gave it a 1, like I could have given it a 0, but I didn't. I gave it a 1 because I do see where like some like young kids might think this is kind of fun, but they're wrong. But so I can't recommend it. Please don't watch it unless you hate yourself. If you hate yourself, just marathon this thing.
Yeah.
And get it done.
But if you do watch it, let us know what you thought. I want to hear I want someone else to experience this pain that we're feeling.
Yeah. Just let us know that we're not alone, please.
Yeah, no, there's no way. Yeah. There's no way people don't hate this. Right.
What a way to bring in the new year with one of the worst cartoons we've ever seen. This is going great. Thanks, 2018.
Frank Dwayne Miller, what were you thinking? Why? Why did you do this to us?
Frank, what's going on, buddy? What did we do to you?
No, did you like this show? If so, please tell me, give me a redeeming quality about this show. Tell me something.
Yeah. Let us know why you picked this and what it means to you. I'm assuming that if you liked it, it really means something to you. So I want to know why.
But it might be like,
did you work on this show? Did you?
Yeah. Were you one of the voices?
Yeah. Which one were you?
But I wonder if it was something that like maybe he saw it as a really young kid and he absorbed it and has a lot of nostalgia for it and just hasn't rewatched it to know how crappy it is.
Well, yeah, and that's what happened with us in Mutant League because we were like, this is going to be great. And then we watched it and we were like, what happened?
Oh, Mutant League. I feel so bad because I really used to like that show.
Yeah.
And that has killed me inside a little bit. It's killed the little kid inside.
It closed one of the ventricles in your heart.
It was that bad. Unlike the Grinch, like my heart shrunk a few sizes that day.
Yeah. That'll happen.
It opposite Grinched me. Reverse Grinched me.
Reverse Grinched. That sounds dirty. Reverse Grinched.
Well, listeners, looks like our milk supply is now run dry, so it's time for us to say goodbye. And next week, we'll be watching
Reboot, submitted via Twitter by @realdudes_pod.
Oh.
Maybe they really, maybe they're trying to plug their podcast. So go check out Real Dudes Pod, maybe. Like, I don't.
Oh, you said pod. Okay. I thought you said Real Dudes _pog. I was like, all right.
No.
Shout
I
out
wish
to
it was a pog.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know their podcast. So go listen to them, maybe, unless it sucks, in which case I'm sorry, but we'll go, maybe they're cool.
It sounds to me like it's going to be one of those shows that's just about a little bit of everything. Because they're just being real dudes
talking about real things.
About real things, about real life.
I don't know if that's I hope that's a slogan of theirs. I don't know if it is, but if it isn't, guys, I hope you use that. Real dudes talking about real things.
And say it real just like that. Yeah. In a very serious voice. Very
That'd
professional. Yeah. Real dudes talking about real things.
Yeah. And if that's what it is, then I totally want to be on the show just so I can do that.
Yeah.
I just want to open their show.
Let Chris open your show.
Let me open your show. I'll do a bumper or something for you.
Oh my God. That would be great.
Great.
What were we talking about?
It's Reboot.
Reboot. Yeah, I do like Reboot. And I rewatched it a couple years ago, some of it, and it still holds up.
Okay.
The CG, not so much, but still the story's awesome and it's a real cool show.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be like go the way of Beast Wars where like the story's great, the animation's awful.
I think the animation's better than Beast Wars, but the story's way better.
Okay.
So I think we'll dig it.
All right. I'm looking forward to it then. If it's bad, Joseph, then it's all on you.
Oh, I don't want to be reverse Grinched again.
Don't worry, I don't go that way.
So once again, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
And we'll see you next Saturday.
Presented by Nerdsloth,
a place for lazy nerds.
If you like what you heard, consider donating at patreon.com/nerdsloth so we can continue bringing you quality shows. Be sure to also leave us a review and share your favorite episodes and clips on social media. If you're looking for more content, visit us at nerdsloth.com.